welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be discussing about the Nigerian Labour Congress second National Peace and Security Summit held in Abuja, Nigeria. We also have news stories for you. We will be right back.
A sober moment it is for Nigerians as banditry and terrorism threaten the nation's very foundations. As at the last count, Boko Haram has killed no less than 20,000 persons and displaced over 2 million people. The past weeks have been more terrifying with the serial abductions and killings of students and non-students, takeover of communities and hoisting of flags. A rattled National Assembly called for a state of emergency on the security sector. This conference brings together security chiefs, experts, labor leaders, and government officials. NLC President believes a better funded military will restore the nation's peace.
The temperament of this summit is moderated by the International Labour Conference Recommendation 205 on empowerment and employment for decent work, for peace and resilience, which recognizes the importance of employment and decent work for promoting peace, preventing crisis situations.
Other speakers advocate negotiations through federalism as basis for lasting peace.
Dialogue is very important. We cannot achieve everything by force. And government will help us also in doing certain things that will make people feel that all parties are wanted.
Nigeria is a federal republic that is being run as a unitary republic. That is wrong. That is where the problem started.
For the government, security is everyone's responsibility. It craves for the support of all.
But we have not allowed the local governments to work, because they are incapacitated by reasons of no availability of funds. So when you go to these communities, there is a total disappearance of any form of civilian authority. How do we have peace if there is no semblance of civilian authority?
I think this is not a matter of partisanship. This is not a matter of politics. The government that we have today has not lived up to expectation in terms of addressing the security challenges facing the nation. And I think that it is crucial that Nigerians at various levels rally around and form coalitions to find a way to deal with this matter. In terms of local security, in terms of local intelligence cooperating with national security agencies, but whatever it is, we are like, the country is at the precipice, and we need to rescue the nation. And I think that summits like this help to refocus the matter. And to that extent, I congratulate the NLC for having, for the second time, actually in recent years, brought the focus of the nation on the matter of this insecurity.
In Shiroro power plant, the bandits or the criminals have hoisted their flag there, which means that place is in serious danger. And if there is no rescue mission from immediately after this May Day, we are going to put them out. And when we put them out, the power station starts to go down, because some of the power stations are installed in those remote areas. And when that happens, that will be another consequence of, or aftermath of insecurity, because it will definitely affect the power situation, and that is it. Severally, the transmission line in Maiduguri, Tamatru area constantly are being attacked, and it's becoming difficult to send people there. The last time workers were forced there, and I have been insisting that management should provide a minimum insurance for them, and there is no insurance, and then this insecurity continues. So I'm not sure we are going to continue to work under this threat. I think the Nigerian state should provide security for Nigerian workers.
Security is part of a society. But when it becomes so obvious and the volume of it is unbearable, then it becomes a problem. And what are the simple things that lead to this? You look at the economic insecurity. When there are numbers of people that wake up and started thinking of where to earn their living, like as it is always say, an idle hand is a devil workshop. The next thing is to think of where, because water must find in level. A living human being must eat. And today, as it is, the increase in the number of unemployed, whether you call it youth or even aged people, that is those who were dropped from job, and we do it whether at the private sector or public sector without knowing any recourse to the implications of what we do.
It's commendable that the NLC leadership has taken it as a responsibility not to leave the discussion to the ruling class alone or to government, but also to the labor movement. And you can see the new perspective that NLC has brought into the discussion now, that yes, physical insecurity is significant, it's important, and I think we need to support our army, we need to support Nigerian police, especially now that they are talking about community policing. We need to support the security service agencies for the good job they are doing to protect us. But beyond that, we must back up physical security with social and economic security. And the way to guarantee sustainable economic and social security is to create massive jobs. And massive jobs can only come when we have appropriate industrial policies that will revive labor-intensive industries. And also, we must ensure job retention now. And this is why I fully support the commitment of the NLC to call Kaduna State government to order to make sure that at this hour, during the period of pandemic, with 33% official unemployment, with 50% open unemployment, and with massive insecurity, is completely wrong. It's not correct, good policy. In fact, it's wrong policy for you to still throw more people out of jobs.
On the Profile Interview segments this week, I will be speaking with the National President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Waba. He will be speaking with me on the rising cases of insecurity in Nigeria and other issues that affect workers in the country. We will be right back. Okay, it's good to have you on the program.
Well, thank you very much.
After a very long time.
Yes, happy to have me on this platform.
A lot has been happening in the Labour circle, but most recently the Nigerian Labour Congress held its second security summit. Can you tell us why it's imperative for us to have this discussion at this point in time?
Yes, I think security is the issue of the moment. And part of our tradition is to continue to engage issues of development and issues that are affecting not only workers, but the larger Nigerian society. And the insecurity situation in our country today is actually progressing from bad to worst. This is a known fact because hitherto, before now, I think what have occupied the security space is the insurgency in the northeast. But we woke up to see that even the issue of farmers-herders conflicts have gone beyond what it used to be. But I think of recent also, there are emerging security challenges that have overwhelmed our security agencies across all the regions of Nigeria. Not only that, I think the issue of kidnapping for ransom and kidnapping students or pupil in our various institutions have become so worrisome. So it is because of these challenging moments and the issues of the moment that we thought it's important as a pan-Nigerian organization. We should be able to have the second NLC Peace and Security Summit to try to bring both state actors and non-state actors to bring also ordinary Nigerians, especially those that are at the receiving end, to be able to dialogue, to be able to discuss, with the whole idea of trying to profile solution. Because from all indication, the solution that have been profiled so far have not been working. And in fact, the situation is gravitating from bad to worst. So that's the whole essence. So it is in the whole context of this, looking at the picture from the broader picture of a pan-Nigerian organization, because one of the challenges also is that the conversation has been reduced to either regional or that primordial interests, instead of looking at it from a national challenge that all of us need to come together to find solution. Because none of us is safe. The rich is not safe. The poor is not safe. Even the politicians that have caused this problem, I say so without reservation, to say that we have had peace before now. And you remembered how some of those insecurity situations started. It was because some of our politicians used political talks. They empower them with arms. And at the end of every political season, those arms are not retrieved. And they are not also engaging those youths. And they will try to find their level in the society. This is how we have actually reduced ourselves to the level of near lack of security in the country. So basically, that is why as a pan-Nigerian organization, we are looking at it from the prism of a national challenge that needed a national discourse and that needed a solution that can be workable. So this is the whole essence of conveying that second National Security Summit. And everybody that spoke at that summit agreed that we are not very certain of where we are going to in terms of security situation.
Still talking about security, we also have to look at the fact that this conference was a success. No doubt about that. Lots of recommendations are made. Can you tell us what next is it for the Nigerian Labour Congress in terms of ensuring that these recommendations are being implemented, since we all have agreed that this is of national importance?
Yes, that is why it's a policy discourse. We are an organization that believes in coming up with recommendation, not only criticizing, not only lamenting, because that is what has become of the Nigerian public. People lament, people condemn. At the end of the day, the issues and challenges continue. So part of our responsibility, and that has been a responsibility that we have championed from the formation of NLC more than 40 years ago, to actually engage on policy issues that can address emerging challenges and contemporary issues of development. The recommendations from the second Peace Summit, as we have done in the first Peace Summit, we are going to package it, we are going to publicize it to the Nigerian people, but importantly, we are going to also forward it to government, because it's the responsibility of government to now try to take on board some of these very critical recommendations and use them so that we can be able to address this seeming monster of insecurity that is trying to consume all of us. There must be synergy among the security agencies. Sharing of information must be a matter of necessity, not a matter of choice. And therefore, all the security agencies must be able to share security information among themselves and act on it. Because in many cases, security informations are shared, but they are not acted upon until the obvious happens. Secondly, is the issue of the number. With a population of almost 206 million, our police is certainly not sufficient to police a population of 206 million people. Same also with other security agencies, because don't forget, the primary purpose of any government is the welfare and security of the people. And the two are not in place. When you talk of welfare, we have more number of people going into poverty than they are going into prosperity. And it's a panacea to the issue of insecurity. There is a nexus between poverty, unemployment, and the issue of insecurity. These have been proven long before now. And the third issue is also the issue of proper funding in a very transparent, open way that citizens can also track those processes. Two is also to institutionalize how non-security actors or non-state actors can also play some role. The hunters, the vigilantes, the various, at the local level and the unit level. We must find a way, even the traditional institution. But importantly, is also addressing the issue of poverty. Because you remember that part of the issue that came on table is the issue of fairness, justice for every segment of the Nigerian society. Because it's been said that without justice and fairness, then the issue of insecurity will also continue to affect us. Because every Nigerian must have a sense of belonging, that yes, the state caters for him, that we are equal before the law, even in the context of doing things in our country. If we have such a situation where every segment of the Nigerian society will have the feeling and the understanding that Nigeria belongs to all of us, and therefore everybody should be able to contribute his quota, and that everybody also will be protected by law, then certainly people will make it as a priority to defend the sanctity of the unity of Nigeria.
Looking at unemployment in Africa, it's actually on the rise, especially due to the effects of COVID-19 pandemic that the world is still faced with. In your capacity as the president of ITUC, can you bring us up to speed on what is expected from the world to ensure that there's a paradigm shift with this development?
The unemployment situation in Africa, but importantly in our country, because we are the most populous black nation in the world, is very worrisome and is going from bad to worst. The recently released statistic by the National Bureau of Statistics actually peg unemployment at about or more than 33%. But when you look at youth unemployment in Nigeria, goes beyond 40%. And that is where the crux of our problem is. Anywhere you have a pool of youths that are unemployed, and they are classified into two. Those that are employable because they have gone through the four corners of our educational institutions, be it colleges of education, polytechnics, universities, and they are having certificate, they are qualified, they couldn't find anything to do. And the majority, particularly in this part of the world, of the country, where they have not gone to school. And therefore they don't have any skill, they don't have any qualification, they don't have any certificate, and they are just there and waiting for anything to do. So these are the two classes of people that we have.
And do you think this is also part of the challenges and making us have issues in terms of security?
Some of those you have seen being paraded as kidnappers, you know for sure that they have not had any formal training. They don't have any skill, and therefore they don't have anything also doing. And so for them, they don't have anything at stake. In fact, I've watched a video, and many Nigerians have watched a video where one of the kidnappers was saying that he has nothing at stake, that what has the state done for him? That state have done nothing to him. For him is that there are two classes of people. The group where he belongs and the group that are enjoying
about
and
us against them.
Yes. So it's like us against them. This is where we are. And the ordinary Nigerian youth also believes that we are eating into their future, because they believe that some of us that are currently providing leadership for them, that we have been there for more than 3 decades. And they believe that we have ate into their own life, that it ought to have been their own. And that is why the issue of not too young to run came up. And they needed space. They needed some support. Because all over the world now is about ideas, not about age. What matters is ideas. And you know, there is the issue of diminishing return. As you are aging, it's also very clear that your productivity will reduce. Something you can do when you are less than 50, you can't do it when you are 70 or 80. This is the reality. And therefore, we are sitting on a time bomb, and we must realize that creating opportunity for youth employment is very important in addressing the issues of insecurity. because it has been proven that when you have an idle hand, an idle mind, then certainly it will be the devil's workshop. And that's why the crime rate has been on the increase. Cybercrime, hitherto, was not known to us. In fact, it is strange. And cybercrime is not done by somebody that is not learned. In fact, you use the best brain to be able to go into cybercrime and access people's accounts, even accounts in other jurisdictions, and withdraw their money. So it tells you the level of intelligence that our youths are displaying in order to survive. So it's like survival of the fittest. And that is not accepted. And that is what is compounding our problem today. Or where you pay ridiculous wages. If you are paying a worker a ridiculous wage that he cannot be able to manage his family and also be able to be productive, you are also sure that the situation will continue to be what it is. So those are some of the issues and recommendations that I thought are important for us to take on board. And those are some of the issues we are bringing on board. And that's why this summit will actually produce the outcome and will fall to government. And demand is going to be a charter of demand. We are forwarding the report with a charter of demand to say that this is what we need to do to avert the calamity of any consequence that will follow lack of action or inaction.
On a final note, during the COVID-19 pandemic, which started about a year ago and which we are still faced with, in the course of this process, we've had some workers who lost their lives. I understand that during the conference, there was a minute silence for this set of people. What would be your recommendations or your reaction towards this development, or your message as a national president of NLC and the international president of ITUC?
Yes, globally, the 28th of April is a date set aside to remember workers that are either injured, lost their lives, suffered some forms of deformity while carrying out their legitimate work in the workplace. It's a date that will also canvass for an expansion of social security cover to cover some of those losses. And if you remember, it is this same argument and contestation that brought about the Workman Compensation Act in Nigeria, which NLC and social partners actually drove. What we expect is that we have made it as a matter of demand to say that the workers that actually lost their life in the course of the COVID-19 must actually enjoy full social security cover. There must be compensation. We are aware that a promise was made, but I'm not sure any have been paid till date. Importantly also, I think, is to pay benefit of any worker that died in the course of his course of assignment, be it from the armed forces, be it from the police, be it from any of the public service outfits. Those category of workers that suffer injury or that died in the course of their work for the larger society must be promptly paid. Their family members should not suffer the consequences of the death of the breadwinners. In fact, they should be able to pay them with some additional incentive. And I think that is how we can be able to even improve the morale of our armed forces. I've seen many of the widows. The day the breadwinner dies in the front line, not more than a month, they will be thrown out of the barrack. And once they are thrown out of the barrack, the children will be, the family will be in disarray. And in most cases, it will take months, years, before some of them are paid. So basically, this is why the date is set aside, so that unions will also continue to canvass for the dead, the injured, and even those that have suffered deformation. Every day here, we follow up on cases of workers that actually get one form of deformation or the other, and the employer is not ready to take responsibility. We have just addressed two issues. We are now the employer came forthcoming to say that yes, they take full responsibility and that there will be compensation for the worker. So basically, it's a very important issue. As journalists, I know that every worker, in the course of doing his work, there are actually issues that pertain to occupational health and safety, occupational hazards that are associated with those work, and in most cases they are not taken seriously. The workers are not compensated, and those things are even, they have gone unreported. So basically we now request our workers to report some of those incidences, but importantly we'll also ensure that those workers that suffer those injuries or death are also compensated.
Thank you very much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
That we'll have more of you.
Thank you very much for this very wonderful opportunity.
And that's all we can take on to this edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.